in the deciding game of the regionals, she came up big with 3 runs batted in. And so far in this NCAA tournament, 7 she has brought home for the Cardinal. They were held off the board by Jordy Ball and Oklahoma yesterday. They'll need to try and change that tonight against Montana Fouts.
Now Montana Fouts will be a little bit different look than the Montana Fouts of last year. You can see the way that brace is really limiting the extension of that left leg, the land leg.
The last time that we saw Montana here, of course, she was throwing a perfect game a couple of years ago to beat UCLA here at the World Series. And those are the numbers for her this season. Only Kat Sandercock has more wins. She picked up her 27th yesterday than any of the other pitchers that are here.
This is a new injury, so it's only been a couple weeks, so Montana's really had to do a lot of rehab, but figure out how to throw at that shorter stride, a little less velocity, more spin speed than pitch speed.
And she said, I learned there's more tools in my toolbox than velocity. And most pitchers know that, but she had to learn it quick and realize, I'm going to trust my movement. Shoot, 68 ain't bad either.
No, exactly, especially when you're getting out to that 8-foot circle.
That's fouled out of play by Gindelsberger. Grad student out of Chandler, Arizona. There are 6 grad students and seniors that have been a huge part of this Stanford program the last few years. The first group that Jessica Allister brought in, and they bought in. They've been in the tournament every year. This is their deepest run.
I think a big part of this group, including the senior Taylor Gindelsberger, remembers last year getting to that super regional, of course upsetting Alabama, but then losing to Oregon State at home.
We'll keep an eye too on a warm night here in Oklahoma City. I think, guys, this would be the 4th game, right, that she has worn the brace, actual game time activity, since she heard it in the SEC tournament. And Gindelsberger off the glove of Cahalan, and on the ricochet, Taylor's going to try for 2, and she'll slide in safely.
It was clear that Montana Fouts was going to go away to Taylor Gindelsberger. She tried to bunt the first pitch. After that, just fouled off kind of everything else that was middle to away till she got this one, something a little bit more elevated on the outer half. You see the reach there from the freshman Cahalan. Almost gets to this, but because she ricochets it, Gindelsberger, the fast base runner that she is, gets to second base.
So immediately a runner in scoring position for Emily Young. Another grad student out of Mason, Ohio. Trying to drop down the bunt. She pops it right up to Montana, but nobody there at second. 1 away.
That 8-foot circle, so not being able to extend that left leg out. She's a little bit shorter.
And she's really having a problem right now with the brace, Michelle.
Yeah, it looks like it's continuing to slide down her leg, and that brace is there to keep her from extending or hyperextending that leg when it lands down. The foot lands. It's really actually incredible what she's been doing over these last couple weeks since that injury. She was not available for regionals. She was available for super regionals. Just trying to extend her career. She really has been the heart and the soul of this team. So much emotion.
Yep. Facing Kaneshiro, who knocked in 3 RBI off of Montana in last year's tournament. She checks the runner, goes to first for the out, and it appeared they had the runner hung up between second and third.
Well, this is a comebacker to Montana Fouts. She turns back to look at Taylor, but I think in this situation, she's probably not comfortable being able to turn. So I take that more as, yeah, I see you. I don't know how quickly I can make that turn on my feet. I'm set up to throw to first. I'm going to take the out and try and deal with the hitter with 2 outs.
That's smart. We've seen her on when she's had to really move laterally, not be able to rely on a lot of pressure on that knee. It's smart to not even try.
This is Kylie Chung, the sophomore from Thousand Oaks, California. Hot shot to second. Kaylee Hevlin stays down on it, side retired. A double for Gindelsberger, and she is left out there. Bama picking up the bats. When we against Tennessee, Kenley went 2 for 3 and drove in 3. As Bama fell behind early, but then the bats made a little bit of noise. Let's see if there's some momentum from that, even out of the loss, that they can carry over into today. It is win or go home for the Tide and the Cardinal. And so Stanford puts the ball in the hands of their senior All-American Elena Vaughter out of Kansas City. Top 5 in Stanford history in wins, strikeouts, and shutouts. And a 20-game winner this season. Making a great 1-2 punch with Nigeri Kennedy, the National Freshman of the Year.
You see a lot of drops, a lot of down zone. She's got really good late movement. It's a ton of ground balls as they hit a fly ball.
And Prangy out to center field, and Gindelsberger with a fabulous catch. 1 down.
Great read. I mean, that's the biggest thing on this one because it's off the very end of the bat. So you have to read this thing initially. You see Gindelsberger coming in, and then she just lets it out. It's a perfect ball to dive for because it's coming straight down. Even if you don't make this catch, it's not going to go very far. Talk about a way to lead off the game for your pitcher, Elena Vaughter. All smiles.
Hit a double and now stealing a double out there in center field. Here's Jenna Johnson. Senior out of Franklin, Tennessee. Had a big home run that ended up being the game winner in Game 3 of the Super Regionals against Northwestern. They were pushed to the limit in both the regionals and the supers to get here as a surprise 5 seed on Selection Sunday. But they got through it to advance here to the World Series for the 14th time. Winners of the national championship in 2012 for Patrick Murphy. A couple of years later, they were back in the Champ Series. Those fabulous teams that featured the likes of the J-Train, Jackie Traina, and one of our cohorts here at ESPN, Caleb Rowe. He's had some success. He knows how to beat the Pac-12. How about that? Here at the World Series, Bama has won their last 10 games. The last loss was Arizona State en route to their national championship in 2008.
I was going to say, they were pretty good back then. ASU was. Winning back-to-back natties.
So let's see if they can make it 11 in a row over the Pac-12 here. That was a glimpse, by the way, of Nigeri Kennedy going out to the bullpen.
I think you expect to see both pitchers in this game. Not that you would see Nyjah anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I think the expectation is for them to play off each other. We talked a lot about Vaughter in the drop, Nyjah with the rise.
They're just a great mix together. Foul. Well, and what I love about Vaughter is that, you know, she's only got 28 walks on the year. She doesn't hit batters. So if you're getting on, you have to earn it. She's given up 170 hits in those 180 innings that she's pitched. So, you know, she does a great job of making her opponents beat her station to station.
There's her batted ball profile, plenty on the deck.
This game is going to come down to defense. We're going to see contact.
3-2 pitch to Johnson. Waits on the change.
Takes something off that. And that's going to be an important pitch for her, especially because she can throw it in any count. 3-2 count, it'll still show up. And the better she throws that changeup, the more she'll get chases or swing and misses in the lower half of the zone, chasing that drop ball below the knee.
She's 3-0 so far in the postseason. Got her feet wet here at the World Series with an inning of work against Oklahoma yesterday, coming on in relief through 22 pitches. Johnson puts this one in play, floats it out to right. And Caitlin Lim is there, 2 out.
Those fingertips.
It's such a cool look, too. Yeah. I just love when we can show the spin. Because it's something as a hitter, you see that spin, but you don't understand what it's going to do when you decide to swing. It becomes a strike to a ball.
It's maturity of hitters learning to read that spin.
This is Kenley Cahalan, who started out her career at Alabama a year early, and then she started out her career with a 14-game hit streak.
Cahalan all the way in the back of the box, as far back as you can possibly be, that back foot, because of the drop. Well, that tells me I don't want to swing at the one that's not a strike. I want to be able to get it when it starts to break and tell myself not to swing at it.
Yeah, so anything low at the knee, she's going to try to lay off of. She's looking for something a little bit more high thigh, belt high.
Also on the plate a little bit, too.
Sends that the opposite way, and back on the grass to make the catch is Emily Young. So, of course, the drop ball pitcher gets 3 flyouts.
And we just want to say thank you to Magdalene. She has been such an inspiration for all of us, from her custom cleat she designed for third baseman Ashley Prange to shouting out for Montana. They have been very inspired by this young lady and her fight and zest for life.
Yeah, great story about Montana. Patrick Murphy says perhaps the greatest ambassador of Alabama softball. And really beyond that, it's, you know, one of the big benefits, I think, of all the, you know, the greater attention and the greater media access and availability and more fans watching on television is the impact that these female athletes can have on youngsters' lives. And obviously for somebody like Montana with a huge social media following, and the fans just flock to see her at the Rhodes House and on the road. And it's happening, you know, in women's softball and basketball, gymnastics, so many of these other opportunities opening up for a lot of women to be inspirational as well as aspirational.
Yeah, but it's so great when you get an amazing person that gets that much attention, because Montana Fouts, she's getting it because of the accolades, of course, and the achievements, but if all these little girls are going to be looking, you want them to be looking at someone like Montana Fouts.
She is a good human being, just so caring, compassionate. She's got some fire in her when she's in that circle.
Oh, when she needs it. 5, 6, and 7 here for Stanford. Emily Schultz also choosing to stay way back in that batter's box. 298 on the season for Emily. It's not a Stanford team that has relied a whole lot on the long ball, just 24 as a team. By comparison, Oklahoma has almost matched that in their 6 postseason.
Kiki Molloy
has more. Yeah, exactly.
Base hit, Schultz. This is how they choose to beat you right here. Cobbled together, base knocks.
This is 2 strikes. Look at this 2-strike pitch. This is not by any means a pitch that you should be hitting into the outfield. Look at the location. Below, I mean, this is ankles. Go down, battle yourself, half swing, just find a way to get on base. Great job from Emily Schultz with 2 strikes.
Here's Caitlin Lim. Stanford, a couple of hits already through the first couple of innings. Had a runner in scoring position in the first, could not get Gindelsberger home from third base. Lim, another one of the seniors from Irvine, California, drops down the sacrifice. 1 away. Schultz to second.
That's a really good job by Broadfoot to go get that bunt. So Alabama having to play a traditional defense where the corners are going to have to go get anything short. Hevlin, the second baseman, is going to have to cover first base.
Inside corner for a strike. Stanford, their runners in scoring position, really good in the supers. 0 for so far at the Women's College World Series. Opposite way, looking for the gap, and she'll find it. And Stanford will strike And the RBI double for Sydney Steele.
72nd double of the year for Stanford. This is how they get it done. They are gap to gap. They might not send it over the wall, but they'll send it to the wall in the gap. And this is how they work. This is a pitch that's a little bit sweet, and she's just going to take it. So Steele just seeing a pitch that's leaped back into the strike zone on the outer half is going to punch it into the gap, and it's just not within the reach of Larissa Pruitt, the right fielder. A nice attempt, but the Card are on the board.
Here's Ellie Eck, 8th spot in the lineup.
And just shows you how important that sacrifice bunt was by Caitlin Lim.
So already a couple of extra base hits for the Card and a 1-0 lead. Got activity out in the Alabama bullpen. That's Lauren Essman. Lauren threw a couple of innings yesterday in the Tennessee game. In fact, Alabama threw their other 3 pitchers yesterday. Torrance has already limbered up. She was out there pregame.
Ball.
Outside the line. So the Cardinal under 6th-year head coach Jessica Allister, who, by the way, has had a hand in every World Series trip. Twice as a player, and now back at her alma mater, bringing him here as the head coach. That will get out of play. We got 3 Pac-12 teams here, Jess, and all have ties to home.
Yeah, take out Amy Hogue, Utah, Heather Tarr, Washington. And I love this one of Jessica Allister. We called her Al when she played with 3 Jessicas on the team. Baby Al right there. And her pitching coach, Tori Nyberg, a part of that 2001 team. So 2 teammates coming together.
That called strike 3. 2 down.
Fouts working inside and outside, really doing a good job setting up on the outside to come back on the inner half. This is a drop ball that she just paints on the corner. Picks up her first strikeout of the game. That's number 350 on the year. That strikeout looking.
1,000 career strikeouts, 100 career wins for Montana. Has put up some big numbers. Had the perfect game here at the World Series a couple years ago. And this is River Mailer. Yesterday, River was the leadoff. They've switched her to the 9 spot today.
Yeah, she's been at the top of the lineup most of the season. Very powerful freshman. You look at the numbers, 360 batting average. She had 3 strikeouts against Jordy Ball in Oklahoma, and Jessica Allister decided to move her down in the lineup. I also think part of it, though, is because the lack of production at the bottom of the lineup. So putting one of their better hitters at the bottom to get their best hitter in Taylor Gindelsberger, who's on deck.
1-2. Ball. Here's the freshman out of Monroe, Washington, an all Pac-12 performer, as well as on the all defensive team this year in the Pac. And a called strike 3, so a couple back-to-back looking for Montana Fouts, but a run in. Madison, who was supposed to be somewhere else this weekend, was able to make it here. And of course, working in our studio, and she was able to surprise Allie.
That's awesome.
so there is family on hand to watch the younger Shipman. And now Allie will open up this second inning down a run as these two teams fight to stretch their season out until Sunday. The winner here gets tomorrow off. That is back for another elimination game on Sunday. Allie, who started out her career at Tennessee, was there for 3 years, and now the last 2 with Alabama. It was a bit of a tough go, both with COVID and an injury at Tennessee, and so when she was looking for a fresh start, Alabama was a place she wanted to try. She said it was also a dream to be able to play and to catch for Montana Fouts, which she has been able to do the last 2 years. So they are teaming up again tonight. Of course, faced her old teammates yesterday. Tennessee, a 10-5 winner. They are in the winner's bracket tomorrow afternoon on ABC at 3 Eastern against Oklahoma.
Ball.
Full count.
Allie just one of 3 hitters on the team that are hitting over 300, but when you think about Allie Shipman, she's a really good pitcher's catcher, defensive catcher. Love the way that she has that relationship with her pitching staff.
Nice job battling that off, too.
Holly?
Well, when we were meeting with Allie, she had some disappointment in her voice because all of her siblings were going to be busy this weekend, unable to be here. But there was a special surprise. She did not know it, but her sister, Maddie, was here. She went in, surprised her at their team meeting, and you see the tears. So happy that her role model and big sis, who played on this field, is here to watch her play.
Awesome.
Slow roller to short. Emily Young over to first, 1 down. There's a wide shot. First game of our doubleheader here from Hall of Fame Stadium. And a 1-0 lead for Stanford. Coming up next, Oklahoma State and Utah. Utes, because of some weather issues yesterday, actually had to play their opening round game this morning. They lost to Washington, so they have to come right back tonight. This is Bailey Dowling.
It'll be interesting to see how the Utes use their pitching staff. Mariah Lopez has been their ace through this postseason, but she threw this morning.
Over 100 pitches?
Yeah.
And how does Oklahoma State respond? They got run ruled by Florida State last night. They had to literally weather the storm. There was an hour and 46-minute delay in game. That was after an hour 14-minute delay pregame. They started ace Kelly Maxwell, but did not bring her back after the weather delay, and that's when Florida State started to open things up. And Dowling looking for some new lumber.
She didn't even swing yet. Or make contact.
Yeah.
Must be a feel thing.
One for 3 against Tennessee yesterday for Bailey.
Let me see it.
Here's how our Women's College World Series bracket is shaping up. So the elimination games tonight, the winners bracket games tomorrow. OU Tennessee and Florida State Washington. That is our bracket update brought to you by Enterprise.
Bailey Dowling just barely got a piece of that changeup.
Yeah.
2 strikes, spotter going to that pitch actually quite a bit this inning.
Dowling, that one's chopped to Young. Oh, and it gets away from Emily Schultz. One out base runner on the miscue from Stanford.
We talked about this game's going to come down to defense because there's going to be a lot of contact, a lot of ground balls, and Emily Young just makes this throw wide. Of course, Emily Schultz had it right there in the glove. Probably give it an E6.
Yeah, they're going to give that to the shortstop. But as a first baseman myself, that's a catchable ball. You have to catch that. If you can keep your foot on the bag and it still touches your glove, you have to be able to make that catch.
All right, can Emma Broadfoot and the Tide cash in here? Junior out of Danville, Alabama. Emma started out at North Alabama, transferred in, always wanted to play for the Crimson Tide.
Ball.
She is one of 8 newcomers for Pat Murphy this year after 8 players graduated or left the program, so a ton of turnover. And fighting through the adversity, fighting through the Fouts issue, he the other day called it the most gratifying season of his career. Young will try again. This time gets it right. 2 down. He said, sometimes, and I quote, you got to go through the crap to get to the good stuff. And Oklahoma City's the good stuff. For the 14th time, Roll Tide roll for Murph. Callie Hevlin, one of the newcomers to the starting lineup this season. Benefited greatly from playing to that recent addition, that Florida Summer League, where she tried to hone her craft in the offseason.
Florida Gulf Coast Softball League.
Oh, and there's a shot, but right at Schultz. So Stanford's defense able to clean it up. 2 complete. Checking out the game tonight. Let's send it over to Holly.
Well, Sis Bates, the former Washington shortstop who is such a huge star in softball, she will also be playing in Athletes Unlimited. She was here watching her Huskies earlier today.
Foul ball.
And I talked to her about Athletes Unlimited. She's still playing at a very high level. They report next week to start training. And if you haven't been to an Athletes Unlimited game, it is phenomenal. Every player that you grew up loving watching in the Women's College World Series is playing on the same field. So really cool opportunity. And I love that these women are still getting an opportunity to play post-college.
They just signed Megan Faramo, too, a couple days ago, so she'll be added onto that roster.
That's awesome. That'll be a lot of fun, too, around Little League softball.
Yeah.
Coming up in August. And their season will get underway shortly after we conclude here. Championship Series starts next Wednesday, Thursday, and if necessary on Friday of next week. We have never had a rematch, by the way, in the Championship Series, and that will continue this year. Last time the same 2 teams met 2 years in a row. UCLA Cal, 2003-2004, the year before the Champ Series began.
Pretty impressive that you know all that, Beth. It's the Bible. It's all in the
off the top of my head.
God's computer, as you call it.
Important to remember our history. There's a full count. Fouts and Gindelsberger back to the top of the order for Stanford. Deep in the hole, Cahalan fires, and a stretch at first by Broadfoot, 1 down.
This is a great play by Cahalan, the freshman shortstop, because you got to understand the speed of Taylor Gindelsberger, where she positions this ball, how she has to go to her right. And you can see she's already cheating the 5-6 hole and gets rid of it quickly. So it's the velocity she gets on this, but also the fact that she gets rid of it quick enough to barely get out Taylor at first.
Great stretch, too, from Broadfoot.
Yeah.
Fist pump from Tana. as they call her in Tuscaloosa.
And especially because Taylor runs well and she's left-handed. I mean, that's a bam-bam play because of Taylor being from the left side.
Holly?
Well, Cahalan should be in high school right now. Her graduation class is graduating from Hewitt High School in Trussville, Alabama this weekend. But she enrolled early. Here she is. She was a 17-year-old when she got to Bama, and here she is making plays at the World Series instead of going through her high school graduation.
All the players they lost last year, needed.
Graduated or transferred.
Yep. Needed her to come in, and she has made an impact.
Oh. Well, you know, when Pat Murphy says she's got the fire in her belly like Kelly Crutchman used to, one of the first great superstars at Alabama, that's saying something. And hey, kid, we know you're 17. Why don't you just come on in and play shortstop for us here in the SEC?
Yeah, it's
see how that goes.
One thing to come in and then to have to play shortstop position where you're being moved, positioning, all this stuff going on, but also for her swing to be compared to Kelly Crutchman, that's a pretty big honor.
Former Alabama Miss Softball. She moved over from third base in high school. Well, you know, too, I mean, they were saying all the right things when we spoke to them this week, and even Pat Murphy said, you know what, it's not, you know, a kind of win one for the Gipper situation. You know, it's Montana Fouts on all their minds to try and help her in what might be her final appearance get another day, get all of them another day. Stanford, of course, has other plans, and they've got a hit in each of the first 3 innings. As Fouts continues to fight through that leg injury to try and extend it to another day.
Well, I think the thing that Stanford's been doing so well against Montana is working her deep into counts.
This is Ali Kaneshiro. The next pitch will be number 50 for Fouts. Ali grounded back to the circle her first time up. Oh, and 2.
Ali Kaneshiro. We've seen Stanford's offensive numbers just get better in the postseason, and talked a lot about they're not known for the long ball, but they definitely execute, and they did against Florida in the regionals.
Boy, they chomped on the SEC's Gators in the regional to advance, and then won on the road at Duke in the Supers to get here.
Especially when one of the games they had to get up and play. It was a 9 a.m. Eastern start, so they were up.
That's 6 a.m. Stanford time.
Start, that's the start. Getting out of bed, eating breakfast. They were up, I think it was at 3:30 Pacific, if not earlier.
They're at Stanford, people. They're go-getters. They attack the day.
Not at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Well, they were averaging 4 runs a game in the regular season, 6 runs a game through the first 2 weeks of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and that's significant, especially when you start thinking about the arms that you're facing. You know, the value of the pitching goes up as you get deeper into the postseason. And you know, this is where they've been productive. They're at 259 RISP in season. They're at 311 RISP in the NCAA tournament, and you know, 3 of their 4 hits have been with 2 strikes. So that's all situational hitting. And when you can hit well situationally in the postseason, you typically win games.
They're also very comfortable in close games because they've played a ton of them.
It's like old school softball, right? Yep. And that's good for pitchers because that's pitching under pressure with a 1-run lead, or you know, in a situation where you can't make a mistake, and it forces you as a pitcher to have to be super dialed in. As well as your defense behind you. You know, that's the other thing. So important. Which on the year, now granted they made an error in this game, but the defense for Stanford coming into today's game, just 38 errors. That's not bad. Alabama's at 53 errors coming into today's game.
They are working some counts.
Yeah.
What is that, 3 straight full counts?
Well, and you got to remember, too, that pitch count's important for Montana Fouts.
Absolutely.
Fly ball out to right center, and calling it off at the last minute is Pruitt. 2 down. And now a conversation here as Lance McMahon comes out to talk with Montana Fouts. We will remind you that Sunday Night Baseball features the Yankees and it is
Superfood.
Well,
superfood.
Super taste bud food.
I know. You know, so many vitamins.
Kylie Chung. You heard the home plate umpire Dustin Douglas say that one was in. He's with Mike Burwell, Tracy Laycock, and Don Brown tonight. Coming our way, coming our way, Jess.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it's our way, but it's like 40 feet short.
Once again,
They're both reaching.
The outfielder, I mean,
Look where the ball is.
Well, now it's rolling down. Come on. Come on.
no, look
No.
at those. By the way, both Smitty and I,
so
thank you very much. Our
close.
first steps were back, Mendoza.
It wasn't close. You guys are cute, though. I like you guys.
It's a hope. I want the hope. What are the
Okay.
odds that you're going to get one?
Well, we're going to get one now.
Now that one's not close, and that one might be playable, and a nice snag. Next to our Arizona back in the 90s, won 4 of 5. Back in the days when the Bruins and the Wildcats were the dominant forces, the Pac-12 ruled the roost. They won 23 of the first 30 national championships, but in the last decade, the game has spread out, and the Pac-12 has 1 title in the last 10 years. The UCLA Bruins got that one with Rachel Garcia in 2019. Alabama and Florida led an SEC revolt for a few years there, won 3 in 4 years.
It was a revolt.
Yeah.
And then the Sooners grabbed control and took the reins of the schooner, and they've been riding it ever since. Beat Florida State 2 years ago. They beat Texas last year in the finals. There you go, 23 times. It's 5 different schools: UCLA, Arizona, Arizona State, Washington, Cal, all champs.
The parity started to set in the last 10 years.
Well, how about this, as a matter of fact, Michelle? You know, both the SEC and the Pac-12, on one occasion, sent 5 teams here to the World Series. But in the last 2 years, the SEC and the Pac-12, bupkis in the Champ Series.
Yeah. It's because the Big 12 has dominated as of late with, obviously, Oklahoma.
They had 3 of the Final 4 last year. Ground ball to short. Young's been busy there.
Usually are. Yeah. Votter on the mound.
Well, since we've been talking about it, let's preview it for you. The championship series, the finals will begin. Best 2 out of 3 next Wednesday night, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Got some work to do before we get there.
Yep.
Losers bracket doubleheader tonight, so we start sending teams home. One of these 2 will be done, and coming up next, Oklahoma State and Utah. Of course, we are also getting ready in a couple years' time, guys, from UCLA leaving the Pac-12 to go to the Big Ten, and both Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12 to go to the SEC. So the landscape is about to shift again.
Foul.
Well, that'll be interesting when that actually happens. I mean, think about the SEC tournament. It's going to be like a mini Women's College World Series before the Women's College World Series. Already kind of feels like that, but with those two clubs entering. Ooh.
Here's Kristen White, number 9 hitter, and then back to the top of the order with one out here in the bottom of the third. Bama still searching for its first hit off of Elena Vaughter.
You guys didn't want to get that one? So close.
I'm gonna let that one go.
Need the extension pull to
There
try
you
to
see
grab
us
that
up there. Hello, everybody.
These ladies. Love them.
She didn't get the pink memo today.
No, I
It's okay. Not holding it against her.
Someone's got to keep us real.
Got her to chase it. The first strikeout for Vaughter tonight, 2 down.
Vaughter's been so good at rallying ground balls. This is a drop ball in the outer half, and it kind of starting to cut away from White. She's going to whip through it. Really good job of getting over the top of this pitch. And you can see how it almost starts to climb up midway through as it starts to then work its way down. So it fools you as a hitter into thinking it's going to be above the knee when it ends up below the knee.
Smitty, I love because when people think softball, and honestly, I feel like every pitcher that's learning how to pitch in softball, they just want to learn the rise ball. That's like the pitch that everyone knows. It's what differentiates softball from baseball. So I love it when we see old school, a great drop ball pitcher that trusts that movement down in the zone.
Well, when parents ask me, or I'm working with really young pitchers, always, you know, they're always, what's the first pitch I should learn? And everyone does want to learn the rise ball, but I'm like, the first pitch you should learn should be the drop ball and the changeup, because those two pitches, the drop ball is much easier to learn than the rise ball, and then obviously mix of speeds is going to be so important as well.
Top of the order now, and Ashley Prangy. For most of the season, Ashley was the muscle in the middle of the order, but with that good batting average over the course of the season, they moved her up top so she would get more at-bats. And there she goes, drilling it back up the middle for the Tide's first hit of the night.
See the smiles of Prangy. So it's a frustration for Alabama, and gets a good pitch right there. And tell you what, when you get a drop ball that's elevated and doesn't have that late type movement, and what I like about Prangy's approach there is line drive up the middle. That's all you can really do with a pitcher that's throwing everything down.
Well, Vaughter just does a good job of keeping the ball in the park, of, you know, limiting damage. And she's got a whip barely above 1, so she's just tough to score on for all those reasons.
Here's Jenna Johnson. Flew out to right back in the first inning. Second base runner of the night for Alabama. And they'll move her over into scoring position on the wild pitch.
Kanashiro loses this. I mean, it's down in the zone, but watch her try to backhand it, and then she can't find it. She closes her eyes when she sees it come up, and then she's got no idea where it's at.
And that's as a catcher, when you're catching and looking at that true drop spin come, you need to let it hit off your chest protector.
Holly?
Well, we told you before about the team inspiration for Alabama, Madeline Daigle, who is at home watching right now. Her dad texted me, these are the special cleats that Madeline designed at St. Jude Children's Hospital for Ashley Prangy. She's allowed to wear them here in the Women's College World Series. They're fire. A lot of the other players on the team are asking for them, so she also designed some for Montana Fouts. And after the SEC tournament, Ashley Prangy, who went yard about every time she got up to bat with that inspiration from Madeline, actually got to go and visit her at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So really special moments on the field, behind the scenes, all of it for this
awesome.
Alabama softball team.
Those are so awesome.
So great.
And now can Johnson get those cleats to swing around third and head for home? As we get later into the ball game too, with the leg issue for Montana Fouts, it'll be all hands on deck out beyond the outfield fence. Fouts still has the brace on. She's still looking on, maybe back out there the next inning, but just in case those two are ready to go, they've been loosening up out in the bullpen. Essman on the left, Torrance on the right. In a one-run game.
Pretty pitch.
47.
Yeah, she blends that so well. And the reason that that one was so effective is because it was in the high 40s. Some of her other changeups have been in like 52, 53, just a tad bit too fast.
Yesterday in the opening round, 4 of their 5 runs came with 2 outs. Well, heck, it's written on the foul pole back at the Rhodes House, 2 outs, so what?
Exactly.
One of their mantras.
Jenna Johnson had 2 hits.
Ball.
Nice take. Vaughter actually thrown 3 different speeds, so her hard drop is in the mid-60s, off-speed drop at 59, and then that changeup in the low 50s, high 40s.
Three-two pitch. Off of her glove, but to the second baseman Mailer, who gets the out and ends.
Murphy and Coach, as we watch Montana Fouts struggle with the knee brace on the injury, how do you describe the will for her to be out here right now?
It's unbelievable. And, you know, Holly, you've seen her for 5 years. She is, I've said it before, I'll say it right now. She's the grittiest, most resilient kid I've ever had in the circle. She wants to be out there so dang bad. And I have to give her a shot. I have to give her a shot.
She's earned it, but how long do you let her go? We see her, she's done a good job so far, but how long do you keep her out there?
Yeah, and I don't know if you've noticed the catcher and our pitching coach, Lance McMahon, goes out. That's not a strategy thing. That's to readjust her brace, and it's not a gamesmanship thing. She had to do it in super regionals, and we try to warn the umpire about it, and he's been really cool about it, but it's more of an injury thing. Hopefully we'll score a run. We need to score a couple to help her out.
Okay, you really danced around it though. How long do you keep her out there?
We need to score a run, Holly. We need to get a lead, okay. and then we'll see what happens, because I have 100%. There's nobody else I'd rather have out there than her. How about that?
I believe you. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Holly.
Yes, sir.
Well, she truly has been the Tide talisman for the last 5 years out there in the circle. They've had some awfully good ones over the course of the years, including their national championship winner, the J-Train, Jackie Traina. And Fouts back to work. Still down a run. The Tide had a chance in the bottom of the third, could not get it in. 5, 6, and 7. Here's Emily Schultz. Emily singled and scored the lone run back in the second on the RBI double from Sydney Steele.
Ball.
And that has been the difference so far. 4 hits off of Fouts. They've gotten at least one in each of the first 3 innings. Kristen White in center. 1 down.
In this game, battle for me. Leadership, inspiration. That's what Montana Fouts is, and that's what she represents on and off the field.
She had about, what, 8 seconds, right?
Yep.
Of just, I'm frustrated, that hurt, and then right back to her team.
Yeah.
Out of Grayson, Kentucky. When we talked to her the other day, she said Bama is a blessing. and I get to play, and that's the positive.
When I was texting with her after the injury, and she just was talking about keeping the face, working hard, just in rehab, just for the opportunity to step on the field one more time and wear that uniform for Alabama.
Holly?
Well, I think when it's all said and done and we find out exactly the extent that she's injured, people are going to be shocked and amazed at what Montana Fouts has gone through to be pitching here in the postseason for her team. She and Dr. Lyle King from Birmingham have been working around the clock, about 8 to 6 hours a day, on personal rehab, strength. You're seeing her do a lot of balance exercises in the dugout right now with their athletic trainer, Essie Adenka, and they're just doing everything, all hands on deck, to make sure she can fight through this injury, because she still is effective as a pitcher. And I just, when it all is said and done and you find out what this injury really is, I think everyone's going to be shocked.
Sydney Steele, who drove in the run for Stanford her first time out. Well, Montana has had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows here. That perfect game a couple of years ago in this circle against UCLA, and then just a couple of days later, the devastating loss in the national semifinals that knocked them out of the tournament. Missed out on Oklahoma City last year, and now the triumphant return.
And this has been a little bit of a roller coaster season for them. There were times where, even with Montana Fouts in the circle, they looked like they were in trouble. I mean, they went to Austin for that series against Texas, and she had to really throw her heart out in order to have the opportunity to win those games. And it was a question, you know, worried about the offense, worried about the ability to score runs for her, even when she was healthy.
But that was what was so remarkable is when she came out in the SEC tournament, that championship game, is all of a sudden their offense came to life. I mean, they understood we need to score runs. We don't have this ace that's going to dominate, and they didn't know for how long.
One-two to Steele. 2-2. Sydney's the senior from Poway, California. Her older sister Haley was here with those great Arizona State national championship teams a decade or so ago, winning it in 2008, 2011. And Shipman behind the plate makes the catch, and it's a 1-2-3 inning in the top of the fourth for Montana Fouts. That'll help her pitch count.
One here with Stanford Coach Alistair. The last time I talked to you on this field, you were actually behind the ditch catching as a player. What is this like to lead your team here, a place that you played in your very self?
That was 100 years ago. It's wonderful. You know, it's great to be here with this group of women and to see how the sport has grown, and just a wonderful atmosphere. It's been phenomenal.
It is. And, you know, your pitching staff's done a great job. Votter is really shutting them out right now. But I know you said in your press conference that Nigeri's good against the righties with 6 righties in their lineup. How do you manage the rest of this game?
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. You know, we got 2 great pitchers. We're gonna use them both, and we're gonna keep an eye and see how this looks. But Nigel's available if need be. But, you know, Votter's throwing a gem, so we're gonna keep her out there.
Perfect. Thank you, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. As we get set to get back to the action, a 1-0 lead for Stanford over Alabama. It is win or go home tonight, as we will send 2 teams back to their campuses. Our field of 8 whittled down to 6 on a quest for a national championship. And this is what went down a moment ago, guys, in the Alabama dugout, in an apparent, hey, come on, everybody. We got to pick up Montana Fouts and get it going, get her a run or 2. As he reported to Holly Rowe, he'd love to be able to pass it off to some of the other pitchers on staff to try and close it down, but the Tide, with just the 1 hit so far, and nary a whiff of home plate.
Yeah, well, as we talked about with Votter, just how good she is at limiting free passes. When you have to hit your way around the bases, you got to string 2 or 3 of them together. As an offense, you have to pass it back. Or better yet, it's what consecutiveness, Beth. You have to be able to pass the bat consecutively to your
My favorite made-up word of Smitty's. I believe Pat calls it old school Alabama. He wants them to hit it the way they have always done in T-Town. But Alana Votter's making that difficult so far tonight for Stanford. She wants another game, too, for the likes of Gindelsberger and Steele and Schultz and Young and Caitlin Lim, the other seniors for the card.
Cahalan making an adjustment, moving up in the box a little bit. She had been way back. Trying to figure out a way to catch that drop ball before it continues down.
Smitty, I'm not a huge fan of moving that much. Now you'll see her more of a
mid
yes,
box.
Yes, just because that's hard. I mean, you're taking feet of difference away.
Well, now you're playing more with your timing.
Yeah,
so I used to do that as well, but with one I knew it was mostly drop, mostly down, and I could split the plate and look from the belt down. But you're right. I mean, different hitters hit well different ways. And
this, by the way, is the part of the batting order to get it going. It's the heart. But instead, Vaughter gets the strikeout of Cahalan. One down.
And the problem with moving up in the box is that you become more susceptible to the mix of speed and the change of speed. And so Vaughter is going to notice that. And look at the way she comes with this changeup. This is a flip change, so it's spinning in the opposite direction. It is moving, which makes to the eye, to the brain, it looks like it's coming at you at 67 miles an hour, when in fact it's coming in at about 50 miles an hour. Big strikeout for Vaughter, second of the game.
It was almost like a rise. I mean, it looked like it was rising, even though it was a total changeup. But you're right, that spin.
Yeah, that's why flip changes are so nasty.
Ball.
Fifth-year senior Allie Shipman. Allie will be off to med school. Told us she wants to be a surgeon after her playing days. Vaughter jams her. 1-2. Utes have arrived.
Juju Jimenez leading that group.
They've already played a game.
She's
today.
waving to us.
There you go. She left. They left about what, 3:30 this afternoon, local time.
Yeah,
Freshened up, and now they're back.
What 24 hours for them. I mean, they get to the field, by the way, last night. Think they're going to play. Delays. The game on the field, and they find out you're not going to play. You're going to come back tomorrow. They get back to their rooms maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. Come back today. Play Washington. Don't get the win. Then they come back tonight. Where else do you want to be, though?
That's right.
That's where we've been all day, all night.
Beats the alternative. Yes.
Same pitch. Smitty.
2 down.
Again, goes back to back, and not just with this changeup. And it's hard for me to even call it a changeup. I want to call it an off speed, just because when I think changeup, I think it's going to go down. But watch it kind of climb up. It's like an off-speed rise from a hitter's point of view, because you see spin up, and you think this is going to be hard. It's not. It's 57. Another K.
Ball.
Yeah, and she's starting to use it more now, second time through the lineup. So actually Prangy, second time through, gets the base hit last inning. And since then, Vaughter has just been increasing the amount of changeup she's throwing at Alabama, keeping them off balance.
Bailey Dowling. Back up the middle. Backhanded. Mailer over to first. Got her. Web gem for River Mailer. Got a 1-2-3 inning with a pair of strikeouts. It's back to Fouts. Trying to keep this a one-run game. And how about Vaughter picking up the bat here? And we'll step into the batter's box to hit in the 8th spot in the order.
She's had only 14 at bats the entire season.
This is the designated player spot in the order. She's 0 for 3 in her at-bat so far in the postseason.
She did have that big one, and if you watch her in batting practice, because she'll hit, she's got pop. She's hitting a lot of balls in the gap, a lot of balls over the fence. And she's hitting for a batter that's hitting about 180. So I think that's part of it too, is letting her help herself.
Right at the knees, 2-2. Pops it up, Cahalan at short. One down.
Fouts with a good mix on her pitches. More rise and curve than drop. First pitch strike sufficient. 14 of the 17 face. She's thrown that first pitch strike. This is a Stanford team that attacks early. They swing early. They don't walk a lot.
Prangy, 2 down. Back to the top of the order now. Gindelsberger, third time around to face Fouts.
Smitty's in heaven right now. This is a little old school pitcher's duel.
Yeah.
And it's been a different kind, because there's not a lot of strikeouts at all.
Fouts has
had 2.
Yeah. And she's recorded 7 in a row. Pop-ups, jam jobs, just a couple strikeouts, as you mentioned. In fact, her last 7 outs, all of them have been in the air.
Another one. And that is quick work for Montana Fouts. Another plus for her pitch count. Back-to-back 1, 2, 3 in R. 6, 7, and 8 coming up for Alabama, and a pinch hitter, Lauren Essman, to try and open things up. Just 2 base runners. Bailey Dowling reached on an error in the second. Ashley Prangy a single in the third, and that has been it.
You good?
Vodder just so good at attacking the zone early.
Alabama, one of the 4 national champions in the field. Stanford, one of the 4 looking to win it all for the first time. And both will have to fight their way out of the loser's bracket to do it. And a strikeout of Essman.
Wow.
That's 3 of the last 4.
That is a great screwball. So when you're looking down, or really worried about that off speed, look at the way she's going to stride out to the left, and then she's going to tumble this pitch out. It's over the top spin. It's probably more of a drop ball than a screwball, but the way that she uses her body, she angles it, and so it's just running away from Essman. That is outstanding location.
She's thrown at least a changeup to every batter the last 2 innings. Some twice, 3 times. And you've got to. You're going second time through the order.
Getting ahead in the count again, 0-2. Coming up next, our second elimination game, Oklahoma State and Utah. About half an hour after the conclusion of this one here at Hall of Fame Stadium, and then our winner's bracket doubleheader tomorrow. Oklahoma and Tennessee, and then Florida State against Washington. That's a rematch of the 2018 championship series won by the Seminoles. Washington won their national championship in 2009. That off speed stayed low. 2-2. And Hevlin goes down, 2 out.
Alabama completely fooled by that changeup right now. They're just not able to see it. The tight spin is hard to pick up.
Yep.
She commits.
Here's Larissa Pruitt, grounded to short her first time up. All 5 of Vaughter's strikeouts have come in the last 3 innings. The second time through the lineup. And with that changeup. And just to revisit, it was Vaughter against Fouts in all 3 games they saw each other last year in the regionals when Stanford won it. And now the 2 are meeting up again. Another gem for both in the circle tonight.
She talked about in her press conference when she got here that one of her best friends is Tori Nyberg, her pitching coach, and that's who she leaned on. What is it like to pitch here? And there's nothing like having that experience on your staff. I know it's been 20+ years, but Tori's been there.
2001, 2004, they went to the semifinals, both of those trips.
And Tori was known as being only a drop ball pitcher. Relates very well to what Alina Vaughter has brought into her days at Stanford and been able to help her really own that pitch.
I think a big part of maturity in pitching is knowing what you are and what you can do and not comparing yourself to what are other pitchers doing. Other rise ball pitchers, they have more strikeouts. At the end of the day, an out in the book is an out in the book. And if you have a good defense behind you, which Stanford has really done a good job behind their pitching staff, just those 38 errors on the year that we talked about. As a pitcher, you can be confident. Embrace that drop ball and roll the 100 hoppers, as we like to say. Let someone pick it up and throw them out.
Good at bat right now from Pruitt. And just trying to, you see them just trying to battle these pitches off. And remember, this is second time through, so they have a better understanding. I do feel like that's why the off speed is so much more important now.
And again, just no free passes. 1 error, 1 hit given up. 2 base runners for Bama, that's it.
Pop up. Emily Schultz says mine, and it is hers. A 1-2-3 inning. Thank you, Pam. To the 6th inning we go. And a couple more at-bats aside. 1-0 Stanford over Alabama. Vaughter and Fouts tussling tonight. In this elimination game, both have worked 5 innings. 4 hits for Stanford, 1 for Alabama. That's been it.
Well, if you look at the way Stanford scored, you go back to that 2nd inning, it really was old school softball. It was a base hit, a sacrifice, and then a ball on the gap. That sacrifice so important.
Yeah, and the other time they had a chance to score was in the 1st inning when Emily Young, who's up to bat right now, popped up the bunt. So they had a leadoff double. They would have scored had Taylor Gindelsberger been on 3rd base.
Yeah, that was a Schultz single, then Lim with the sacrifice, and Sydney Steele, the RBI double. That is it. All the scoring tonight, as the Cardinal will send up their 2, 3, and 4 hitters. One, 2 to Young. Another huge crowd on hand for a doubleheader tonight as we send it down to Holly Rowe.
Well, Emily Young for Stanford, who's at bat right now, might be the most interesting woman in softball. She wants to be a pilot and is studying aeronautics and astronautics at Stanford. Started her career as a hockey player before switching to softball. She just does a little bit of everything and hasn't decided if she's going to be a military pilot or a commercial pilot yet, but I just love that she's got such high dreams.
That's not an easy major, by the way, either. Not that it sounds like it's easy. Aeronautics and astronaut. I took a couple of those classes. Oh, wow. A lot of this team, by the way, they're still in school. Finals actually coming up this next week.
3-2 pitch to Emily. Called strike 3. Well, Fouts and Vaught are somehow seeming to get better as the night progresses here. The more pitches they throw.
Fouts worked a lot of outside corner, and this one she comes back to this inside. Really good job by Shipman. Shipman is one of the best in the game at really working the fringes. Great job of framing this pitch, pulling it into the strike zone on the inner half. Third strikeout of the game for Montana Fouts. Second looking, excuse me, all three looking.
Yeah, her first strikeout since the 2 in the second. Kaneshiro 0 for 2.
Ball. A little bit.
Kaneshiro launches one. Back it goes, and on the track, the catch is made by Jenna Johnson.
This is an amazing, amazing catch. And I think it might have been close to going out had she not made it hit the top of the wall. Watch her react, drop step straight back. This is right at you and knowing where the wall is. She knew where it is. The leap that she makes, I felt like the spin on that ball, it was going to continue to go up and out. Montana Fouts. This game is going to come down to so many great defensive plays because there's been so much contact.
11th batter she's retired in a row. As you said, Beth, getting better as they go on.
And Janet Johnson with the gem. 9 of the last 10 outs for her have been flyouts. Including the pop-up from Kylie Chung her last time up. Slow roller, Cahalan charges and fires. 3 straight 1, 2, 3 innings for Montana Fouts. 1-0.
Great defense behind her as well.
Yeah, they have been stellar here at Hall of Fame Stadium in Oklahoma City. Beth Mowens, Michelle Smith, Jessica Mendoza, and Holly Rowe with you tonight. Game 2 of the doubleheader coming up. Kevin Brown, Amanda Scarborough, Courtney Lyle on the call. Oklahoma State and Utah. Vaughter's also struck out 4 of the last 7 she's seen. Here's Kristen White, and then the top. Only 1 hit, only 2 base runners.
See the outfield way pulled in. Obviously the short game that Kristen White has, but she can hit a gap.
Foul ball.
That's crazy when you look at the 6.43 stats on White. 90% of her balls on the infield.
How about that one? They haven't been shut out since Stanford did it to them last year in the NCAA tournament. And that was Elena Vaughter in the circle that day as well. One and 2.
I think the biggest thing too with the drop, it's hard to launch. It's hard to slug. You're not gonna, so hitters just don't want to swing at it. If I can't do damage with this pitch, I don't want anything to do with it.
Oklahoma State pulling in. They're on deck against Utah. Win or go home for the Pokes. They were in the national semifinals last year. Chop to third and got her. Sydney Steele, quick out of the glove.
It's been the glove, too, for Stanford. We talked about Elena Vottor. Gets a lot of contact. How about the defense behind her out in center field? This is back at the first inning, first pitch. Taylor Ginsburg with the diving catch, and Emily Young going back, making a grab look easy, taking away a hit, and then River Mailer going up the middle. Huge grab, some defensive highlights, and that's the difference of this game. It's been the D for Stanford.
And wow, a pitching change here in the 6th. As Vottor departs, will not face the batting order the 3rd time around.
Zone from Kennedy.
You like this move?
3rd time through. I think this is all analytics driven, so you're going with the numbers. I do like it.
I would keep Vottor in just because she's rolling. But you got the power hitter at the top, Ashley Prangy here. And we're going to see. But I'm all about feel.
Let's see if it breathes
I keep Vottor in.
Let's see if it breathes some life into the Alabama hitters. At least they got something different to look at. Now, whether they can keep up with the Flames is another story. Prangy has the lone Bama hit tonight. A single back up the middle.
And this is also how Nyjah was utilized a lot earlier in the season. She was battling a back injury. They had her come into relief.
And has only given up the 1 home run the entire year.
And that's the difference right there. Being able to go to the top of the zone with that rise ball, which is a completely different look than what Vottor was giving Alabama.
One down here in the 6th, so just 4 outs left for the Tide to roll with. Prangy muscles that one out of play. Kennedy leading the country in both strikeouts per 7 innings and earned run average coming into this World Series, with a pair of no-hitters.
She missed the All-American qualification by 1 inning. Otherwise, she is a no-doubt first-teamer.
Yep.
Ball.
2-2 to Prangy. The innings were low because she missed a month during the regular season, mid-March to mid-April, nursing an injury. They wanted to make sure that she would be ready for Pac-12 play and the postseason. She took the loss as the starter yesterday against Oklahoma.
She was outstanding in that game.
Kept
really
it close.
Pushed the #1 offense in the nation. And scored until the 6th inning. 3rd time through the lineup, seeing her.
Ashley Prangy right now is not biting at anything up in the zone. Done a good job. 7th pitch of this at bat. Her Madeline cleats.
That's where Nyjah's so good, is that she can throw that rise ball in different planes. So Prangy's laying off that rise. It's a little bit high, but Nyjah can bring it a little bit lower, and you're not quite sure. Is that a rise? Is it a strike? Is it not? You've got to go after it. Prangy good enough to foul it back. I think the other thing that Nyjah has done so well, she trusts her velocity and her movement. She is not afraid to throw the ball over the white part of the plate, get the swing and miss.
Prangy's been good all year with the rise ball. Let's see if she gets a crack at one here. The 3-2 coming from Kennedy. Got Vaughter with the rise. Couldn't keep up. 2 down.
Well, there's the rise, Beth. And then there's the Nyjah Kennedy rise. This is 70+ miles an hour. And look at the movement. I mean, it starts in the strike zone. That's waist high, going to how much movement? And I love this look. From behind the home plate in the batter's box, you inside what a hitter sees. And Elena Vaughter, her teammate, just got taken out. No one more excited for the freshman.
Janet Johnson fouls one off. And now a chat with
so much movement, late sharp break with that velocity consistently over 70 miles an hour. That's how you become the freshman of the year in the game of softball.
She's drawing comparisons to some of the great rise ball pitchers in history. And oh, what a diving grab! Caitlin Lynn with the catch. 7th win or go home tonight for the Cardinal and the Crimson Tide. And back to work for Montana Fouts. The 5th-year senior with over 100 wins and 1,000 strikeouts, trying to extend her career for at least one more game. But the Cardinal with the lead on a 2-run, or an RBI double rather, by Sydney Steele back in the 2nd inning. Since then, it's been dominant pitching from Montana Fouts, Elena Vaughter, and now Nyjah Kennedy on in relief for the Cardinal. One last chance for the Tide in the bottom of this inning. 5, 6, and 7 here for Stanford. Schultz had the base hit that started the rally. She is the only one that has touched home plate tonight. Kennedy awaits as they watch Montana Fouts retire 11 straight. That one will get out of play.
When you think about Fouts, what she did in the season, a 33% whiff rate before the injury. Since the injury, or tonight, 7%. Figuring out a different way to get outs. That's what she talked about after that injury. Might not be the strikeout, might not be the whiff.
Boy, she has done her part tonight, win or lose.
Absolutely.
Playing through the leg injury. Patrick Murphy, when Holly Rowe asked him earlier in the game, told us it wasn't even a choice. Montana wanted the ball, I wanted to give her the ball. And all of Bama Nation expected her to get the ball. For 5 years, the face of the program, trying to keep this a one-run game. 12 in a row retired by Fouts. 1 down. It will be, by the way, the 3, 4, 5 hitters for Alabama in the bottom of the 7th inning.
We've seen Montana Fouts throw a perfect game on this stage. The best moments of her career have been here in Oklahoma City. But this is right here at the top with what she's battling through. I mean, just as far as message for those watching at home, for the thousands of young girls that are here in the stands looking up to her, is she's 70%. And it's not about having the best stuff, it's how you work through it. And she's showing everyone how you do that right now. The pain that you can tell that she's in, and you see her limping when she's moving around. She's doing this not for her, it's for her team.
0-2 pitch. Fitting, it's a rise ball. 2 down.
It's her 4th strikeout of the game. This one on the rise ball. Her other 3 strikeouts earlier have all been looking. She gets underneath this pitch. Great location. Gets Lynn just swing through it. Look at the way she's going to get extended. Nice spin at the top of the zone. Gets Linda Chase.
I think, did Patrick Murphy just walk out there and say, do you want to come out? And she said, heck no.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick Murphy, you know, he wants to give her a moment of taking her out on this stage. And she's like, I don't want that moment.
Get out of here, Murph.
I got an out to get. Just efficient tonight, too. 102 pitches.
Deep fly ball. Back it goes and out of here. Sydney Steele has driven in both runs tonight for Stanford. Solo shot, 2-zip.
Sydney Steele, she had 2 hits against Jordy Ball in Oklahoma. She's got 2 in this one. She had the double to score the first run, and look at this swing, too. I mean, just getting on time. That's the biggest thing. It got out of here so quick.
So close to that one.
Jenna Johnson almost had a chance to catch it.
Yeah, first pitch swinging, just attacking, knowing that Fouts has been pounding the zone early. 3rd home run of the year. How about that?
How about the unsung heroes today? Earlier it was Riley Holtorf for Washington, driving in 3 of their 4 runs, and now Sydney Steele for Stanford, driving in both of theirs.
7-hitter, 7-hole. Put me in, coach. Put me in the 7-hole, because that's what we've seen today out of that spot. Washington and now Stanford.
One-two here to Eck, who has re-entered in the batting order.
Ball.
Right back to Montana. If this is indeed a Fouts farewell, we tip our cap. 5 fabulous years at Alabama. Can her teammates get it done in the bottom of the 7th to get her another day? Kennedy on in relief of the All-American Elena Vaughter, who will try and seal the deal for the Cardinal. Win or go home tonight for these two. First pitch, swinging strike to Kenley Cahalan. It is 3, 4, and 5 in the lineup. They have mustered just 1 hit and only 2 base runners tonight.
Ball.
1-1. The winner of this one has tomorrow off. They would play an elimination game Sunday afternoon against the loser of tomorrow's Florida State-Washington game. Blowing it by at 71 miles an hour, 2-2.
That's a nice pitch. After laying off a couple of rise balls out of the zone, Nyjah with that velocity, that trust, brings that pitch lower through the zone.
Ball.
Full count. Tide looking for their first base runner since the 3rd inning.
Nyjah wanted that one, too. She's a pitcher that will not hide her emotions. You know exactly how she's going to feel. Not afraid of fist pump, not afraid to lay her head to the side when she's like, is that a strike?
What a moment for these two freshmen. Called strike 3. One down.
Look at those reacts. Not hide your emotion. And I'll tell you what, Kahalan made that a tough at bat. She had a great eye. Comes back. Outside corner, but to me it's about the reaction. I mean, this is a freshman pitching to the biggest stage. That's what you want to see.
Absolutely.
Show the emotion.
Allie Shipman. After watching drop balls and change-ups for 5 innings, now they're having to deal with the rise at the eyes.
And the highest velocity here in Oklahoma City.
Oh, 2. Big sister Maddie checking out the action.
Oh, I can just feel her insides right now.
Yeah.
Always seems to come down to seniors too. Season's on the line.
Would be a last chance for her and Ashley Prangy as well as Montana. Got her. 2 down. Kennedy has struck out 3 of 4.
Yeah, she is just on fire using that velocity, the location. Look at the spin on this. This is a curveball. She just expands the zone. She has a great ability to get hitters to chase and swing through pitches. 3rd strikeout for Kennedy.
Final out now for the Crimson Tide. It's Bailey Dowling.
Ball.
Rise ball for a strike, 1-1. It's been pitching and defense all year for Stanford. That's been the story tonight. Their dynamic duo in the circle, the glove work behind them has been stellar this evening. It's been 19 years since they won here. Dowling out to center, and they win again. Stanford stays alive and knocks out Alabama. 2-0 the final. A 1-hit combo shutout for Vaughter and Kennedy tonight.
I mean, we knew it was going to come down to a close game and the pitching, but you got to tip your hat to the combination. First of all, the fact that